Okay, we're recording. Hey, everybody. Hey, audiences. Welcome to another SF Indie Fest Q&A 2022. This time it's for the program An Animated World. We got some great animated shorts here, and we're lucky enough to have about four filmmakers with us. Hey, filmmakers. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Very enjoyable, very fun films. I think we may have mostly 2D animation, but maybe also some cutout and claymation here, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing stop motion.
Stop motion with claymation, right? With clay?
No, it's mixed materials, but no clay
okay.
this time.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, first off, let me start with you since you're on here, Cecilia. Briefly tell me what the film's about, real short.
It's a love couple that the boyfriend is like starting to transform into, he just like starts spitting and having like water out of every hole, and I'm not going to tell the end, but he's going through a transformation, and it's a comedy. It's a comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, quite surreal.
Yeah.
And trippy.
Yeah, very.
And why claymation?
Well, I love stop motion and like building puppets, and that everything's like physical materials. And it would have been hard to do like live action since it's like so spaced out.
Yeah. Where are you calling from?
I'm in LA, but I'm Swedish.
Oh, okay. Well, great to have you here. And then Linda. How about you? Your story, your short. What's it about, and why the format that you did?
Well, my film is Misfortune, and it's a Polish folktale, and it's about two sisters. One's rich and one's poor, but Misfortune lives on the poor sister's stove, and that's why she's poor. I do cut out digital only because when I was in college, I was using 8mm Bolex cameras.
I know.
I would use paper cutouts and everything. And then when everything went digital, it wasn't a large transition, but I just started doing the same thing digitally.
So by digital, it's like a common digital cameras that we're used to, or
No,
is it?
I'm sorry, Adobe. I use
Adobe. But are you still cutting out physically anymore, or do you just do it all in the computer?
I draw. You mean I draw the characters, I do all the designs off, scan them in, and then convert them to vectors, and then just take off and just go from there.
How long is your short?
7 minutes.
How long did that take you?
2 years.
2 years. Cecilia, how long did yours take you?
Yeah, 2 years too.
All right. Angela and Nathan, how long did yours take you?
If I had worked, so I didn't work on it consistently. So it ended up taking about like 6 months. But if I had worked more because it's a pretty short film, it's like about a minute.
Right.
Yeah, it would have taken maybe less if I had worked on it consistently.
Yeah.
And how was your process? How was your what was your procedure?
It was digital 2D. So I was drawing on a Wacom Cintiq and using Toon Boom Harmony to put it together. Pretty much, yeah, and compositing it all together with Premiere.
I see. Nathan, what about you? What was your process, procedure, production?
Well, I use a program called TV Paint for most of it, which is just a 2D animation software, and I have a tablet that I draw on. But there's a lot of goofy bullshit in it that's kind of you can't do in a 2D animated film.
Yeah,
I need to use a bunch of different projects.
You have like strobing, if you will, like, or stuttering, right?
Yeah. And there's like just like a few seconds of 3D and a few seconds of claymation. And so putting that all together was, a real treat and trying to make it work together. And I composited most of it in Premiere, a little bit in After Effects, but yeah, I used a lot of different programs, and the list.
And tell me what your film's about briefly, just for the audience. It's real short.
Uh, it's about how to animate poorly and some of the consequences of that.
And then Angela, you didn't tell us what your film's about briefly.
Oh, right. It's I guess pretty much a cycle of violence, and how we often, instead of doing unto others as we would want to have done, we actually do what has been done. And that just kind of continues a bad sequence of events.
Cycle events, yeah. What inspired all your films? Angela, I'll start with you. What inspired this short?
Well, let's see. I guess the times during it
Yeah.
was kind of conceived during the pandemic, and like all the unrest that was happening as well, not just over masking and all that stuff. There was a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, and then it just and then, well, one of the I guess one of the bright sides of it is I ended up being able to attend a lot of online animation festivals. Before, it was just in person. So I was just really inspired by a lot of the different types of animation. So I'm like, oh, I really want to make a film that kind of like captures stuff in a simple way, with a simple kind of like line approach. And
Yeah.
it just came to me after
Yeah,
that.
right on. Yes, short and simple. Sometimes simpler is just a lot more powerful. How about you, Cecilia? What inspired you? Did you go through a weird boyfriend relationship that was leaking?
Actually, just when it finished, me and my ex broke up, and I was like, did I like make this happen? But no. It was I was really like, I had been looking a lot at different like water fountain sculptures, like, and I was traveling in South Sweden, and I just, it was like a really cool, like, I mean, it was sort of ugly statue of a man that was like it was in a very weird place. It was just like in like someone's backyard,
Hmm.
like, yeah, I don't know. It was like really interesting. So I took a lot of photos, and I was like, wow, this guy, who is he? And then I started to imagine like this story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird and
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Linda, what was your inspiration? Did you read the folktale and say this would
Well,
translate well?
Well, I was looking for a new idea. I'm trying to do an independent every 2 years, and I just finished one, and that was making the festival circuit. So I was looking for ideas, and I read a bunch of Russian folk fairy tales, and there's a book that's out. I think it's called The Snow Queen.
Hmm.
Really good.
Mhm.
If you pick it up, I can't remember the author's name. So that started me on the path down folk tales or fairy tales. And I just like that. I have a sister, so it really spoke to me. So
Yeah, it resonated with me too. It's just kind of very not only universal, if you will, but just kind of timeless, right? Like it feels like it's an old tale.
yes, not only that it's true today, there's always that civil rivalry that goes on, especially if one's of a different class
Yeah,
than the other.
yeah. I have experiences like that in my family too. Uh, Nathan, inspiration.
Uh, it started just kind of with an idea for a joke where I thought, what if that animation was real? Like if someone poorly started walk cycling towards you, how would you react? It'd be like, what the, oh God. And then I had a few of those ideas, and they're in the film. And I was like, okay, what now? And I remembered in the animator's survival guide or kit, I don't remember, by Richard Williams, there's a lot of talk about like making sure you're not doing things the wrong way, because if you're practicing the wrong way, you're hurting yourself. And so that kind of made me think like, okay, by making this film, am I kind of condemning myself to be a bad animator? And so I just kind of went with that and went to see where it took me. And it took me to someplace strange.
And fun and entertaining.
Yeah, I hope so.
And uh, yeah, I think so. And so to all of you also, why an animated short? You guys all work as animators? So do you do this short to express yourself, to hone your skills, stay, unrusty, if you will, sharpen the saw? Nathan, I'm on you, so go ahead and answer the question.
Well, this was my senior film. I just graduated from Paul University, so yeah, this was kind of absorbed my life for a full year, and then wasn't even done for another year after that. So, hopefully the animator thing works out for me.
Are you pursuing an animation career?
I'm trying.
All right. Well, maybe this will help. Linda, why an animated short? You said you do one every 2 years. You've been animating for your whole life.
I've been
pretty much.
animating a long time, yes. But
Mhm.
my day job, I've always done independent films. My day job was teaching animation full time.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
retired now. So now it's I'm telling you, this is the perfect retirement. I can animate whatever I want, when I want, how I want it. I did work for a studio. I took a leave of absence from teaching and worked. Anybody remember VH1 Illustrated by Camp Chaos?
I
You're
do.
the only one. I'm telling you, I worked on season 2 of that.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was, that was very informative. It was very nice. But
Yeah.
no, I'm not happy unless I'm animating.
Got it. You need to create and animate.
Yeah, I got to be working on something.
I hear you. Cecilia, why a short animation? Why
Um,
this one?
yeah, for me, it was also a school project. I went to Cal Arts,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, you're
yeah.
in the Bay Area. I'm in San Francisco.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So this was my first year film. But I just think it's like a really fun way to tell a story because you don't have like any physical limits really,
Mhm.
So
This isn't physical, but other than the limitation of time, it seems really time consuming, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think in my younger years, I definitely wanted and dreamed to be an animator, but I don't know if I had the patience. You guys all have extreme patience. Angela, how about you? Why'd you make this?
Oh, yeah, I guess, and I guess my day job is also teaching animation. I'm actually on campus right now, so sorry if you hear music in the background. The band is playing outside. But
Where do you teach?
San Jose State.
Oh, okay, another Bay Area. Right on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. This story just seemed like the medium of animation would fit it really well.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I've done other creative projects, but this is actually my first animated film, and I hope to do more. Yeah.
Now, when you guys are doing an animated film, it seems very self rewarding enjoyment, But do you think of audiences, when you're making short animated films, when you're making animated films? As a filmmaker, narrative mostly filmmaker, it's like I'm always thinking about how this will be read or perceived or conveyed. Angela, I'm on you right now. The camera's on you. Are you thinking about audiences when you're making this?
Yeah, I think so, especially when it comes to pacing. Yeah, and then of course, like clarity, communicating like the whatever I'm trying to communicate, to make sure it kind of lands. So I did of course show it to people. That's my basic feedback. I guess I have a crew or a couple of people I trust in feedback. Yeah, because I want to see the effect it has. And it's not the only thing I'm looking for because I want to tell my story, but I want to make sure it communicates. So I do think about that.
Yeah. Cecilia, same question to you.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about my friends, but I'm trying not to think too much about how it will be perceived and like, because I feel like I can get like stressed out that it's
Mm.
it's like more easier creative process if I don't think too much like where it will land.
Yeah. It won't hinder you. You kind of think of yourself first, if you will,
Yeah,
audience one, and then
yeah,
hope it reaches a wider audience or touches
yeah.
on people. Linda, do you think of audiences when you're making, or you're just in your kind of enjoyment of the process?
I'm
Oh,
I'm I'm in it. Yeah, I'm kind of I like to tell a story. I
right.
do. That's the hardest thing about my situation. Like in my house, when I say ask somebody to watch something and give a feedback, their eyes get all glazed over and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're tired of
Or they're
hearing.
too busy, or they not
Yeah,
interested.
they don't
Yeah.
want to. So you're really lucky if you have people who are knowledgeable and who will look at it. And you know what I mean? And you can't, but
Yeah.
I just,
Well, Nathan, I'll ask you the same question, but so like as a narrative filmmaker, you kind of get feedback all through the process, the script stages. So you're knowing if it's like this is maybe going to translate from the page, then you're getting into the production and the post and editing stages. Do you guys do that too? Like before you even start spending all that time, or you just start creating, animating, or do you get feedback before you even, start making?
Well, for me, we we needed to have like a full storyboard done and like an animatic done. So it was just like rudimentary pictures of what was generally going to happen so that people would know what the story was. And then
Got it.
once it seems that people are like, okay, yeah, this makes enough sense. I like this enough. Then you're like, okay, I guess I can start making the movie.
Right.
And
Linda, you were going to answer too, but before, Nathan just reminded me of seeing like those behind the scenes making of a Pixar movie where you see the walls just covered with the storyboards and stuff like that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Linda, you were going to go ahead.
it's the animatic. You know what I mean? It really
Yeah.
is. You have to get the animatic. Once you get the animatic working, then you're at, I mean, once you get to the point where you can actually animate, that's the easy part. It's getting to the point where you can animate is the hard and tedious part of it. Animating is a fun part.
Cecilia or Angela, do you want to
Yeah.
answer that?
I also, started with an animatic, really loose, showed it to a couple people just to see how it carried. And even though, even if you get suggestions, you don't necessarily take all of them, So it's basically, I
Yeah.
guess it's more of a gut call where I'm like, okay, I think it's good enough to start, or it's working well enough to start, and then you just go for it.
Yeah,
Cecilia, how about you?
yeah.
Preparation?
I feel like the 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 part of the process for me that is the most like social, where I bring in most people, is in the script writing stage. Because I really like, I think it's like makes it more fun for me too, to like, try different things. And but I would only do it with people I trust and who I think is funny, so like, but I feel like always everyone I've like gone through the script with always say like something like, oh, maybe this person should say this, and then I'm like, yeah. you know
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and like,
it seems like not to diminish the challenges of all your projects, but and I don't know what I know, but Cecilia, yours was maybe the most challenging. I'll ask this of all of you. Um, what was some of the challenges of making your movie, making your short?
I think like finishing it, just like, when you've made like half of it and you're really sick of the process, or I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's just like, it's like maybe like 30% left, but it feels like it's so much. That's the hardest part, to like really like go through the whole way.
Yeah, I can imagine. Angela, challenges during this short film?
Yeah, I'd agree with Cecilia where it's just sticking to it to finish. And mine wasn't even that long, and I still had that trouble where I guess after the story's done and it's the rough animation, I'm like, I feel like I'm done. But then
Yeah.
no, you have to make it clear and pretty and clean up the lines. And for me, that's really that takes a lot of discipline. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
the challenge.
Wow. Yeah. Nathan, how about you? What challenges did you uncover encounter along the way?
Uh, yeah, it takes a lot to like want to sit down and say, yeah, I'll spend the next year or so animating this. But for me, the real hardest part was that I finished all the animation. And I was like, cool, it moves, it looks good, that's nice. And I had no sound. And so I was like, all right, I just have to add the sound. That shouldn't take too long. And then it took forever.
Yeah. I think maybe it's good sometimes that you think that everything's gonna be so easy and smooth, because otherwise you wouldn't start anything. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, this will be easy. And then like 2 years later, you're like, God.
As soon as I realized how hard it was going to be adding sound, and like there's a little bit of music I wanted to add, and I know nothing about making music, I was like, oh God, I have to make this now. Oh.
Yeah, sound was a challenge. Because like, yeah, after I was done with the cleanup animation, I was like super happy. And then I'm like, oh wait, sound. And then that was way more challenging than I thought, because I was like, oh, I don't know anything about music either.
Linda, I'll ask you the same question, but as the veteran animator, if I may, any advice for these newer animators?
Well,
About
I hired a music guy, so I took a lot of pressure off. And he was really quite nice. The musician was really quite nice. He really kind of helped me with sound, because I'm not nobody, I'm a Joe of all trades. I know a little bit about sound, but I know enough to get me in trouble, kind of thing. So,
and what about your challenges? Maybe. Oh, what was that sign for? I said challenge, and you just do like, oh.
I really don't, I didn't have any challenges other than you get really tired of seeing the same scene over and over again. And there's a couple scenes I reanimated 4 times and I'm still not happy with them. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you want it perfect all the time. At least my level of perfect kind of thing. And it just, that's frustrating. And sometimes I see, when I look at the animation, I have to look away because I know it's, what I mean? I
Got to
just,
move on.
I didn't hit, yes.
Yeah, live with it. And now I guess I bet you guys you're all working kind of from home now that the tools are at your fingertips, right? So with what you just said, I can sense some late nights or just working till like I gotta go to bed. I gotta let this go and work on it tomorrow. Is that true?
Yeah, just one more thing. Let me just fix this one thing.
How about the others?
Yeah, for sure.
Late nights?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in between stuff. Yeah, squeezing it whenever. Yeah, for sure.
And then it's still there in the morning. It's like, oh, here's the same scene.
Yeah. And you export, I don't know, I exported constantly the playtest just to see, and then that's like it's a loop in itself, just like, oh, I'll make this change, export to see how it feels. And yeah, then
All right, so what's one thing you guys have learned from this project? Not that you don't already know a lot, but going on to your next project, you'll be like, well, you know what? Next time I will, I don't know, do something different, or you learn something about yourself. What'd you learn?
No, go for it.
Okay, I have a pretty solid pipeline now of production.
Okay.
It's kind of, no, that's my plan.
Yeah. Nathan, you learn anything?
I learned that I do not have a solid pipeline for production.
Oh
Which
yeah,
is kind of
I gotta do sound and music now. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was kind of the nature of making something very multimedia. It was kind of like, all right, yeah, I want to have a live action bit. I'll film that now. And then I have to shove that in at some point, and figuring out like when to do that and how to do that is, fun. Good times.
Cecilia, Angela, want to answer that? You learn anything? You don't have to.
Just for me, it was more just like technique things, just like how to, like I needed to learn to improve my puppets and my animation skills. Very technical, like stuff.
Angela?
I think well, now that I know more about sound and Foley effects and stuff like that, to maybe start that earlier, like, and hire someone earlier to help. That would help streamline things too. Yeah.
Right on. Well, your films are all wonderful. Real quick, last question. Either favorite animation or favorite cartoon or influence. You're an influential animator for you.
Terry Gilliam.
Terry Gilliam?
Mhm.
Nice.
I'd say Fantastic Planet.
Fantastic Planet. Okay. I don't know that one.
It's good.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Nathan, Angela, favorite animator, favorite animation? Oh, they're stumped. So many.
Yeah. There are a lot. That's really hard. Like, there's a bunch of indie animated shorts that I don't even know who did, and it's just like, the images are just stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Triplets of Belleville.
Yeah.
That's one that
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Nathan likes that one. Nathan, how about you?
I I am forgetting his Don Hertzfeldt. That's what it is.
Ah, nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for making your films. They're really wonderful little shorts. Congratulations on completing them. It sounds like that is just an award in itself. Well done. And congratulations in getting into our film festival SF Indie Shorts program. It was a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. Yes, thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching another Q&A, and thanks for supporting indie films. Check out more at sfindie.com. Bye, everybody.
Bye.